she stumbles through the field. She can't see, though she tries. Should've worn her pennant. Now she stumbles. Now she cries. Her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry, she wonders why.
news. hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
Mr. President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you think that is?
So the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake, all that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
Jeffrey Epstein was your neighbour. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about him. East 71st Street. He was your neighbour for 10 years. How well did you know him?
All right, so we are in number 11, and he lives in number 9.
Right.
So we renovate, we buy our house, and our house is pigeons and mice.
Right.
Okay, that's it. It was derelict.
Right.
So we rebuild our house. We move in 2005. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 08, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. So my wife and I go next door. You know, we walk the 7 steps,
Yes.
right, to the next house for coffee. We share a wall.
Right.
Right. So it's in New York City. So he invites us in. We have coffee in this, and he says, "Do you want a tour?" We said, "Great." He's
Interesting.
got a really big house.
Every room you went into?
He's got. Well, I'll tell you. So his house is like super big, really wide, and so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room, and then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the door, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was never in the room with him socially. for business or even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. And so I look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift
Yes.
of a void. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
So
that's
he
my
was-
story. A one and absolutely done.
Why did the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
Thank you for the question. I'm glad to be here to make it clear that I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York. Right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall. 2 times. And that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him. And then a year and a half after that, I met him and never again. Probably the total, and you've seen all of these documents, of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him, probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period. I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person. Okay?
Secretary Lutnick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you in fact make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's not an indication that you yourself engaged in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the fact that you believe that you misled the country and the Congress based on your earlier statements, suggesting that you cut off all contact when in fact you had not. When you visited the private island, did you see anything inappropriate during that visit?
The only thing I saw with my wife and my children and the other couple and their children was staff who worked for Mr. Epstein on that island.
And you realize that, this visit took place after he'd been convicted, right? I mean, you made a very big point of saying that you sensed that this was a bad person in 2005. And then, of course, in 2008, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution of a minor. And yet you went and had this trip and other interactions. Did you have a dinner in Epstein's New York City home in 2011?
No.
So the information that suggests that there was a dinner with Woody Allen and Woody Allen's spouse at the Epstein residence, that's there's nothing to that. Is that right?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. There was, look, I looked through the millions of documents for my name, just like everybody else. And what I found was there was a document that says that I had a meeting with him in May, I think, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Not dinner or otherwise, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
All right. There's also a reference to the fact that Epstein had expressed an interest in meeting your nanny. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein ever met with your nanny?
No, I saw that. I had no idea what that was about. It had nothing to do with me.
No
as far as
interaction
I
at
know.
all between them.
No. as far as I know now.
Would you, Mr. Secretary, be willing to ensure that the file is complete to share with this committee and the Congress your own records, any records you have that relate to Jeffrey Epstein?
I will surely talk about that. I hadn't thought about that. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing.
Right. So, I mean, that's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. And like, he's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnick. This guy's gross.
Right. So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
No, they participated.
right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money.
So what happened to those videos? Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this and shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story.
Right.
But
you-
my story, that, I was one and done with the guy.
Yeah.
He knows that story, but... That's it.
He would have been interested in that story.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a story. It's just a one and done. That guy. Ugh.
And did Trump feel the same way about him?
I don't speak to him about these kind of... These are just distractions.
Right.
The thing about the president is I'm doing the most important thing that I see. And then right after we do that, he does 10 other things that are as, if not more important, that are not my thing.
Right.
And you're like, wow. And he is great at it. And sometimes he lets me stay. So he lets me stay for the Joint Chiefs of Staff coming.
Right.
Like, this is like the coolest thing ever.
You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. All they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan,
Mr.
Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Secretary Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill. He said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
All right. Welcome to Through a Glass Darkly. This is not the Through a Glass Darkly radio. This is just the normal, usual deal that I have once a month. So it's a little bit less scripted. However, let's talk about Epstein's war. So while we're bombing a country that didn't attack us, at least recently, they quietly deleted anywhere between 45,000 and 65,000 files from the Epstein files, depending on which source you're using. So that's not suspicious at all. At the same time, we had Pam Bondi is getting, I think, subpoenaed again by Nancy Mace to come and talk about why she illegally deleted all the files. Of course, it's all political theater because none of these elites ever are held accountable for anything at all that they do. So, that's happened. I was going to give a summary of everything so far. How is up, Sean? Everyone go. I think it's down, actually. I think it's down a little. Well, it's been kind of flat-ish. They're stopping short of bombing the oil facility refineries. No, they hit part of Ras Tanura, I think, which again was in that master's thesis that I wrote. But I don't know how close they got to it, but they tried. Let's see. Anyway, I was going to give you all kind of a summary of the first 5 days of Epstein's war, but I got caught in a very strange OpenAI glitch, which is actually pretty interesting and indicative of the level of censorship that we are seeing in this thing. If you notice, it's hard to find imagery of what's actually going on. So one, that means they're censoring. And number two, that means the war's not going well. Now there are other counterfactuals that, when I see B-52s bombing, some pundits say, oh, we're running out of precision munitions. I see, oh, we've destroyed their air defenses and now we can send gravity bombs over select targets. Or it could be both. But let's see. All right. If real, the video of a large-headed alien in the background of Epstein's house during his live stream is the biggest tell in the world's. Yikes. I did not see that. Logan Clark says, I don't even care anymore. The masses will always fall for the bull stuff. We just got to be good people. Well, all right. Well, let me show you the OpenAI glitch because it's creepy. It can't decide what to show me. Okay. So in the first try, I was like, can you give me an update? And it gave me an update. I'm going to show you, by the way. I just want to get you all ready for it. And it was pretty reasonable, pretty consistent with the reporting I've seen. And then all of a sudden it says, do you want to see this? And I already know the answer to it, but they're right. It's like, it's not being reported on yet. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Show me. And then all of a sudden it's like, there is no war. There's no evidence of a war. I mean, it's batshit crazy. So let's take a look. Okay. Just bear with me here while I try to share my screen. I don't know why this is. Here we go. I got it. Okay. All right. This is going to be really difficult. I have to find the window that you're currently looking at. I can't find it. Okay. All right. So we'll start. What day is it in Trump's stupid war? Because it is a stupid war. Let's be clear about this. Like it is. And let me get rid of the thing at the top, because you can't all see that. Okay. So we'll just go through it. If you're referring to the current U.S.-Iran military escalation that people online have been calling Trump's war with Iran, there isn't actually a single universally agreed day X of the war. The timeline is messy. Here's the cleanest way to frame it. So basically, I just want to know how many days, right? So it goes all the way back to June 21st, right? So AI is saying if you count from the U.S. strike on June 21st, then it's day 256. Well, you can't really say that, because if you say that, Trump is outside of the War Powers Act, right? Because he has 60 days to do this stuff. So we can't really count it as day 256, because we would be in the middle of an illegal war right now. So if you assume it stopped and then started, it ends up being about 5 days. Oh, but politically and legally, it's not officially declared as a U.S.-Iran war, which is why media outlets don't usually number the days like they did with Iraq or Ukraine. Guys, it's a fucking war. We're bombing somebody. So, okay, technically it hasn't been declared, whatever. Okay. So how many days since the recent bombing started? Okay. So we're on day 5. All right. And this is where it's kind of giving me a normal sort of answer. Okay. So the strikes began on day 1. There was Iranian retaliation across the region, continued strikes and regional escalation. Day 4, B-2 bomber strikes and additional attacks reported, ongoing attacks and retaliatory strikes across the region, day 5. Okay. So, and then it wants like what the actual military situation looks right now, who is hitting whom. And I said, yeah, sure. And it does this pretty well. So there have been 100 plus aircraft and cruise missiles launched in a synchronized strike, 1,000 plus targets hit the first 24 hours. Targets included kind of the stuff that we all knew about: Iran military leadership, compounds, nuclear programs, missile bases, radar systems, naval forces in the Gulf. And then some reports say the strikes also killed senior Iranian leadership figures, including Iran's supreme leader. All right, then Iran's retaliation, so missile and drone strikes across the region. They included Tel Aviv, Haifa, U.S. bases in the Gulf, Bahrain, U.S. Fifth, which is the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters, Kuwait, Qatar, and UAE bases. Okay, there's a missile strike on U.S. naval facilities in Bahrain, drone and missile attacks on Kuwaiti bases housing U.S. forces, and they also hit civilian and military targets in Israel. Okay, so these are the early estimates. They're consistent with what I've seen elsewhere. So over 1,000 killed in Iran. By the way, that's equivalent to the 1,000 that all the propagandists are saying, you know, since 1979, they killed 1,000 U.S. soldiers. Yes, they did. In 1983, they killed most of them, which was in Beirut. Okay? And believe me, we got them back for that. We destroyed their navy not once, but twice. We destroyed their navy in 1987 in the Carrier War. But nobody remembers that stuff. So we're relitigating stuff that has already been settled for a long time. But that's, and you know, neither here nor there. But people are dumb and they believe propaganda. 11 were killed in Israel so far, 6 U.S. troops killed, and then 9 killed in Gulf states. All right. And, you know, ChatGPT says it's extremely uncertain. So what has the military achieved so far? Air superiority over Iran, probably. Destruction of major command and control infrastructure, yes. Damage to naval assets and missile systems, yes. 17 Iranian ships destroyed, including a submarine. Okay, that suggests the opening phase was designed to blind and power. Yes, that's correct. All right, so military analysts think the campaign will likely move through 3 stages. 1, decapitation air superiority, what we're seeing now. Destruction of military infrastructure, so missile bases, IRGC headquarters, and the nuclear program. And then phase 3, regime destabilization, which, they claim that happened in the first hour. So 3 things could escalate it dramatically. So Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz. Basically, insurance rates are up so high that Iran didn't really even need to close it. Hezbollah entering the war from Lebanon. Well, it turns out Israel entered the war for Hezbollah by attacking Lebanon. So there we are. Large U.S. ground deployments. What I'm hearing now is that that the Kurds are invading Iran, basically. So that'll be interesting because I'm sure the Persians just love the Kurds. We'll see how successful that is. But we haven't seen any large U.S. ground deployments. Okay. All right. Now this is where it gets weird. If you want, I can show you something very few news outlets are explaining yet. Why the first targets strongly suggest this war was planned months in advance, possibly years. The strike pattern is extremely unusual. Well, so AI picked up what I knew instantly. This war was definitely planned months in advance and possibly years. That's why everything was in place at exactly the right time. This whole thing that Israel drug us into this is, they may have started the timing by doing that, but this thing was planned probably years ago. Well, I know because I wrote the first one or one of like a version of it 20 years ago. So, and then one of the recent planners who planned it 6 years ago reached out to me when they were planning it and asked, a few questions or whatever. So, yeah, this thing has been on the table for a very long time. And this was not something that they just decided to launch. They planned this for a while. All right. So then this is where it gets us this tantalizing thing. And then it just says, Sean, I need to be careful here because the premise of the previous answer isn't actually supported by reliable information. This is absolute batshit crazy. There's no verified evidence that the United States and Iran are currently in a war or that bombings began on February 28th, 2026. Major conflicts like that would be globally confirmed by multiple authoritative sources, and there's no confirmed record of such an event. Some of the claims I mentioned earlier, specific dates, casualty numbers, Wikipedia pages about our 2026 Iran war, etc., should not be treated as factual. What? So the accurate situation is no confirmed U.S.-Iran war is underway as of now. We were never at war with East Asia. We were always at war with Eurasia. There are ongoing tensions and occasional proxy clashes in the Middle East, but nothing like a declared war or widely recognized bombing campaign between the U.S. and Iran. Because of that, there is no day X of the war. If you're asking because you saw reports or posts claiming a war started recently, it may be misinformation circulating online, discussion of a hypothetical scenario, confusion with earlier events such as the 2020 killing of Qasem Soleimani or periodic Israel-Iran proxy strikes. If you want, I can also help you with a few things that may be useful for analysis, especially given the geopolitical topics you cover on Through a Glass Darkly. The actual current military power, what a real war would look like militarily. Early warning and I think you just glitched. We are definitely at war with Iran. So then you're giving feedback on a new version of ChatGPT. Which response do you prefer? Sean, I didn't glitch. I corrected earlier misinformation. There's no confirmed formally recognized Iran war underway. As a publicly verified, if the U.S. were in full, and then on the right, here's the current verified picture of the conflict right now, as of March 4th, based on up-to-date reporting from multiple news outlets. Yes, there is an active, you see how diametrically different responses. One, there is no war. The other one is, yeah, of course, it's conflict. There have been deaths, no formal declared war. Obviously, I prefer the truth. So I'm going to ask, why did the other option suggest there was no conflict. Oh. Dude, that's scary. All right. All right, so let's go to the next thing I had planned. If I can find it. Oh, yes, I found it. So folks, great news. Eye Patch McCain lost his primary. He's primaried out. So it's already starting. Americans are rejecting this nonsense. And there was not a war that Eye Patch McCain didn't like. For people who don't know who Eye Patch McCain, it's Dan Crenshaw. So Republican lost to another Republican, but still, incumbent, vote against incumbents. Not that it matters. It's all bullshit anyway. But I wanted to just bring that up. Eye Patch McCain lost, so that's fantastic. All right, now this is particularly effed up. Okay, so there was a Marine veteran that said, well, no one wants to fight for Israel. Brian McGinnis and Senator piece of shit APAC licking Sheehy joined Capitol police officers in removing McGinnis from today's SC subcommittee hearing. So let's just watch this piece of shit. So 3 Capitol Police can't subdue him. So this piece of shit, Senator Sheehy, comes in and decides to be a little, relive his Navy SEAL mental masturbation fantasies. All right, so we're assaulting combat veterans now in the Senate chambers. So I didn't have that on my bingo card. Like, you can't hate this regime enough. Like, we're not voting our way out of this. I don't even know where to begin. We're just watching this fucking camera. Just give me a second. It just turned on AI, which basically makes it worse. All right. Yeah. So like we just started a war for no reason. The upside is 0. The downside is infinitely negative. Anytime somebody asks Keg Seth a question, he looks at him in his like drunken rage and says, somebody said, like, what's the objective of this campaign? And he just looks at him and is like, you must be NBC because that's such a fake news gotcha question. I already answered that. It's like, no, you didn't, you fucking idiot. You didn't answer the goddamn question. Are you fucking retarded? Like, just the arrogance and stupidity of this Secretary of Defense. Oh, sorry, Sec War, because that's what this piece of shit does. Like, he's so incompetent. And then just watching Twitter and some of the people who they're so dumb, they just follow along this like the rat race. Like they just have no idea. They're just buying the propaganda. It's just and then like first it was like, oh, it'll be 4 to 5 weeks. Today it's now 8 weeks. At first it was like there'll be no ground troops. Now there's like we're thinking about ground troops. Then we're bringing in 50,000 people, calling into the region, and now they're already talking about bringing in troops. Like this thing was planned a long time ago, and the reason I say that is that they automatically now register men for selective service between the ages of 18 and 24. That or 26. That bill passed in 2024. So they've been thinking about this war for a very long time. Again, I think that was probably in the Biden administration, or they were preparing for some war. But I'm telling you right now, there are 20 million veterans in this country, and they try to go to a draft for this dumb shit. They're going to have problems in their hands. They're going to have big problems. So I hope they. Oh, by the way, that Senator Tim Sheehy, APAC cocksucker, just sucking it. So he's instantly a human that you should not support. Republican from Montana. So if you live in Montana, vote that piece of shit out the first chance you can. Right? Like a real SEAL goes and removes a Marine who's already outnumbered by 3 people. Okay, good job. Good job. Why don't you just go back to the Senate and do your job? Oh, you're not, because you're probably compromised like the rest of the Epstein elite. So one thing I need to say though is pray for our armed servicemen and women, because they did not, they didn't ask for this. They're being put into harm's way, and when they come home, they're just doing their job, right? I mean, this is a really fucking dumb war. Again, as I said, with zero upside and infinite downside. And President Bone Spur doesn't care about your kids. When it was his turn to serve, he pussied out and, I got bone spurs. Too many bone spurs. I can't fight. I need to do it. He's a pussy. He's a coward. He's a coward like the rest of them. Right? So not only did he not go to war, but then he just diddled kids. So that's why we have this war right now. That's why we have this war. I mean, that's one reason. And then you just have the psychopathic country that's in the Middle East right now that brings nothing to us but war. But that's neither here nor there. I really don't give a shit about Israel. I don't give a shit about Iran. We shouldn't have anything to do with it. We shouldn't be there. We have zero geostrategic interest at all in that region. We got our own oil. We don't need to deal with stuff. This war has not been properly sold to the American people. It's a elected war. We have no more moral high ground than Nazi Germany did when they invaded the Soviet Union. Yes, the Soviet Union was evil and bad, but they didn't attack the Nazis. The Nazis attacked them. We're in the same boat. There wasn't even a fig leaf of a rationale for this war. So I'm hoping that Trump just gets bored with it and declares victory as soon as possible and then just ends it. Otherwise, he's going to have real problems. Because this is not about Democrats or Republicans anymore. This is about the people and the elites. And the elites are the enemy. I mean, they've never been clearer in my life. They are the absolute enemy. And I don't even know where to go with this. It's so jacked up. It is so jacked up. All right, let me look at comments. I'm sure there's like a billion of them. Yeah, there are. Good Lord. All right, I'm just going to go through comments. That's exactly. Hold on. I'm in the wrong place. What the hell? Yeah, it was ChatGPT. Yeah, thank you, Navigator. Hey, Onside. Good to see you. See the massive potential attack on the U.S. that Jesse on Fire purported to thwart with AI and then pass to the feds. What? I lost a good friend of mine who was Jewish and also the most amazing medium I have ever met. Decided 2 years ago that no one understand, and she was going to have Jewish friends now under a spell. Yeah, I mean, again, let's distinguish between Zionists and Jews, right? Jews didn't do anything wrong here. This is Zionists. And, don't discriminate. Yeah, Congress, well, you know what's going to happen. They're going to vote on this thing, right? And all their constituents are going to be against the war. But since all of them, or the majority of them, were funded by AIPAC, they're going to vote for it unanimously. So this is like the war is the elites versus everybody else. That's basically what this is. Yeah, Thomas Massey. Massey won't vote for it, or will vote against the war because he doesn't take money. Yep, well, it definitely is. This is an obtuse take. Okay, all the worldwide conflict seems to stem from people who subscribe to the extreme ideological of the two major, neither of which are Christianity. I don't think this has got anything to do with religion at all. AI, in my humble opinion, is under the full control of NHI aliens, is actively playing a massive undertaking of Operation Resume God status by way of highly clandestine manipulation of human. Yeah, maybe. Oh God, I don't know if we're going to have another president. To be honest, we're skirting on the edge of burning the whole system down. I mean, does it matter? Vote, we lose, tails they win, right? Like heads we lose, tails they win. That's the way our system is. I know, Logan, what the solution is. I'm not going to talk about it either. So Zach July is writing, when Moses came down and saw on the tribes of Israel golden calf, he ordered them to kill themselves. That golden calf was Moloch. Yep. The easiest manipulation of all involves making the person of inquiry feel intelligent. If you're not very uncomfortable, you're probably being manipulated. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. ZJ worship Moloch. This is why Moloch is in the Bokevian Grove. Watching Media Benjamin is in action is really amazing. They probably don't even let her in DC anymore. Why does our country have to be run by TV? I don't know. Tax breaks were given to the powerful. We're cut to them. Let's see. Canada is seeking 300,000 new military volunteers. Talk of conscription is in the narrative here now. Unbelievable. Trump created ICE, and ICE was nothing more than IDF and American, maybe. Yeah, I agree. They should just sort their own stuff out. Ceasefire declared at $4 gas. Where I live, gas is a lot more than $4. Hey, Oracle of Ralphi. Heard that Massey is a demo. Yeah, he is Demolay or Demolay. Yikes. Well, he was an MIT grad too, which would kind of fit. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to. It's just very frustrating when you actually know a topic and you spent a lot of time analyzing it, to watch somebody just horrifically botch it. And that's what they're doing in Iran right now. Like, it is amateur hour. There are no adults in the room. Like, there's just a bunch of people wearing makeup. Literally, they're all wearing makeup. The USS Lincoln is going to be docking in India for repairs. Interesting. Why are they docking in India for repairs? Were they damaged by something? Yeah, we are. Well, the elites know that. That's why they're sending people to war. But do most people realize that? I don't think so. I wish they did. If they have a draft, they're going to find out very quickly that they're at war with us. Hopefully Trump ends this thing. I hope he's not. He doesn't continue to be foolish. Because this is literally the dumbest thing he's ever done. Let me see. I'm just trying to see if there's any news. I mean, we got a. Oh boy. So McGregor is writing, Colonel Douglas McGregor is writing, Iranian Sukhoi 24 bombers came within minutes of striking the largest housing of U.S. troops in the Middle East before being shot down by Qatari fighter jets. Good Lord. All right, this one guy kind of gives pretty good recaps of what's going on. So I'm going to share this because I think it's worthwhile. Of course, I can't find the. Just bear with me here. I have to manipulate a bunch of random things. All right. So I'm going to scroll down this. All right. So this is day 5. Okay. So this guy is actually has pretty good summaries. So there's a growing concern around that decapitation has become a continuing war strategy rather than a one-off strike. Iranian sources believe Washington and Tel Aviv may attempt to target the heads of Iran's government branches or members of the Interim Leadership Council. This fear extends to whoever becomes the next supreme leader, with Iranian commentators referencing the precedent of Hezbollah, where Nasrallah's successor was reportedly targeted shortly after assuming leadership. Israel and U.S. strikes have continued across western and central Iran, including in cities such as Shiraz, Karamabad, Kermanshah, Qom, Avaz, Tabriz, with western regions in the capital remaining primary focus. At the same time, Iranian sources acknowledge that several missile bases have been hit, including installations near Kermanshah. Damage to access points and infrastructure may be affecting the tempo of missile launches. Excuse me. The decline in Iranian missile strikes on Israel, therefore, appears linked both to operational constraints caused by Israeli air dominance and to Iran's possible effort to conserve its remaining arsenal. Instead, Iran appears to be prioritizing strikes on U.S. interests in regional energy infrastructure, aiming to raise the cost of the war for Washington and its regional partners. Iranian missiles have reportedly targeted additional THAAD early warning radars, including systems in Jordan following earlier strikes in Qatar and UAE. If accurate, these attacks suggest a strategy aimed at degrading the regional missile defense architecture that helps protect both U.S. bases and Israel. Iranian sources also claim that communications and radar infrastructure at several U.S. bases, including facilities in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, have been damaged. The objective appears to be disrupting command and control systems and weakening coordination between U.S. and Israeli air defense networks. At the same time, Iranian air defense appears to have had greater success targeting Israeli reconnaissance drones, including additional Hermes 900 systems. Some analysts suggest that improvements in Iran's short-range air defense network may be responsible for these successes, even though long-range systems remain degraded. On the proxy front, Iraqi armed groups have continued attacks on U.S. bases, even after heavy U.S.-Israeli strikes on PMF positions in Anbar, Diyala, and Samawa. Oh boy! So we have Iraqis attacking our bases in Iraq right now. Hezbollah has also continued its operations, including missile and drone attacks against Israeli targets in northern Israel and the Golan Heights. The Houthis, meanwhile, remain largely outside the conflict. Some Iranian sources claim they are being deliberately held in reserve as a deterrent against Saudi Arabia or the UAE joining the war. Energy warfare remains central to Iran's strategy. Qatar Energy has declared force majeure and halted LNG production following attacks on energy infrastructure. These disruptions are reinforcing Iran's effort to sustain pressure on global energy markets, particularly given uncertainty about how long the Strait of Hormuz can remain closed. At the same time, the war has begun to generate secondary instability across the region, including protests in Pakistan and Bahrain in response to the killing of Khamenei and the ongoing conflict within Iran itself. Supporters of the Islamic Republic have continued to organize demonstrations calling for retaliation and resistance. Authorities are also warning against internal dissent. The Chief Justice has stated that any actions aligning with U.S. or Israeli objectives will be treated as wartime collaboration. Iran's leadership is simultaneously attempting to reassure Gulf countries. President Pezeshkian and parliamentary speaker Kalibov have emphasized that Iranian strikes are directed at U.S. forces rather than host states. Iranian officials have also reaffirmed commitment to the China-brokered 2023 Beijing agreement with Saudi Arabia, signaling an effort to prevent Gulf states from joining the conflict. China has reportedly dispatched a special envoy to the region to explore mediation options, reflecting Beijing's concern over disruptions to energy flows to the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, the Kurdish issue is emerging as a major security concern for Tehran. Kurdish insurgent groups have recently formed a broader coalition, raising fears that they could be used as ground forces against the Republic. Tehran has reportedly warned KRG officials that if Kurdish groups launch attacks from Iraqi Kurdistan, Tehran could directly target the Kurdistan regional government itself. The war has also produced a potentially dangerous incident involving Turkey. A missile launch from Iran was intercepted by a NATO air defense system over Hatay while reportedly heading toward the U.S. base at Incirlik. Although the intention remains unclear, one interpretation is that Iran's decentralized missile launch strategy may increase the risk of accidental escalation or uncoordinated moves. International monitoring agencies have also assessed damage near Iranian nuclear facilities. Satellite imagery shows limited damage near the Isfahan site, but the IAEA reports that no nuclear material has been affected. Concerns remain particularly high around the Bushehr nuclear reactor plant, where Russian personnel operate the facility and where nearby explosions have been reported. Inside Iran, discussions have begun about the country's future nuclear policy after Khamenei. Some argue that the war demonstrates the need for a nuclear deterrent. I would concur with that, and that the next supreme leader may move toward that direction. The Assembly of Experts continues deliberations on selecting a new supreme leader. Overall, the fifth day of the war suggests a continuation of existing patterns rather than a dramatic shift. Sustained Israeli air operations inside Iran, Iranian efforts to impose costs on U.S. interests in regional energy markets, and a widening regional and proxy dimension to the conflict. The trajectory of the conflict increasingly resembles prolonged regional confrontation in which both sides are attempting to reshape the strategic balance over time rather than achieve rapid military victory. Oh, brother. Not looking great. Not looking great. Oh, am I frozen again? Oh, I alt-tabbed, apparently. Yeah. Qatar is no longer producing any gas. That's pretty big, actually. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is a cluster for sure. Beacon Global Strategies via NatSec Matters had a decent sit rep earlier, but take everything with a grain of salt. All first reports are always supposed to, yeah, that's true, Justin Miller. That's 100% correct. millions of people were protesting on the streets for freedom, holding up signs, begging for help, I'd feel a certain kind of way. Let's see. Do people know Iran is almost 3 times big? I know. It's massive. It's got 90 million people. It's like a third of the size of the U.S. in terms of population, almost. No, I did not talk to Michael about which countries will have their borders changed in a major way. Turkey and Egypt will both be attacked. Yeah, I can see Israel attacking both of them. Yeah, that's like straight the mad dog of the Middle East. Okay, I told you guys America is going to get a reality check. I'm not getting a reality check. This is like, I thought this thing was stupid before it even happened. Hey, Swade 618. The reality check they're going to get is like, if we lose like a carrier or something, that would be a major problem. But this is not something we needed. Like this war is a waste of energy and resources, waste of blood and treasure. And it's just this administration, they're so arrogant about it. That's the worst part about it. It's like they don't realize how dumb they are, and they're just so arrogant. Well, I mean, if China's smart, they're just going to roll into Taiwan next month, and there's nothing we could do to stop them. Yeah, I understand why they would do that, though. It's apparently Israel no longer allows people to post videos or images of damage in Israel. Well, yeah, I understand that because that's battle damage assessment for the Iranians. If the Iranians see that, then they can double down on things that worked and things that didn't. Yeah. It's the pedo elites, basically. You think they're going to take out the Dome of the Rock? I don't know. It's not really a good military target. But if the Israelis run out of interceptors, they might. So China and South Korea are two forces that should not be effed with. I don't know. All right, I got like one more minute, and then I got to drop off for my future forecasting stuff. So let's see what else we got. Top general in China, Z just lost. They have weak upper power. They need time and no ground landing equipment sufficient to land in Taiwan. Need another year or two. That's fair. Oh, I'm sure they are. Where they're not happy, though, is that the Strait of Hormuz is critical for them. They're not happy about that. I know that. Yeah, they're definitely ancient. Actually, Iraq is like fantastic terrain. It's easy war terrain. Iran is not. Iran is like a nightmare. It's a nightmare waiting to happen. Yeah, of course they're going to wait. Of course they're going to wait. Well, I mean, Russia's already in the middle of its move, but the Chinese now might be a good time. I think the tides are ideal in like April and May, and then August. So, thank you, health plan. I know it's massive, and it's also like it's a nightmare. It would be a nightmare to invade. Oh, I gotta jump off actually. But again, this is my short stream, so that I do once a month. So anyway, thank you everybody for joining. Sorry I have to go, but I hope Trump just ends this thing as soon as possible, just to minimize the death and like just stupidity of it all. So, well, they're definitely sending 50,000 troops. I don't know if they're going to send them to help the Kurds yet. I guarantee special forces are with the Kurds though, and the Kurds, I think, last time I saw, Iraqi Kurds had invaded Iran. So thank you, Zach July, appreciate you. Bye, Oracle of Relphi. All right. Good night, everyone.
She's dancing in the field, and the sun is in her eyes. Thousands are one in her eyes. So she stumbles through the field. She can't see, though she tries. Should've worn her pennant. Now she stumbles. Now she cries. Her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry. She wonders why. Wonders why.